remember so associating with the character of Ally McBeal.
She was independent, and she was trying to balance her career and her social life.
She was neurotic, eccentric, smart, unabashedly self-absorbed, and everybody else around was weird.
It was like there were all these crazy people who loved themselves and loved each other.
These make my B-U-T-T look bigger.
The show really had one of the strongest casts I've ever worked with.
David did a lot of things that shows didn't do before and then haven't done since.
It's like having a private conversation in the bathroom and finding out that someone's in the stall next to you.
The use of music and the fantasy elements all together were unique to its time.
I don't think we initially were aware of how successful the show would be, but it certainly captured the imagination of the American public, that's for sure.
Love and law are the same. Romantic in concept, but the actual practice can give you a yeast infection.
With Ally McBeal, I was trying to come up with an idea that was different from other law shows I had done. I thought about the jaded arena that the law business had become and started to craft a character who was the antithesis of that.
Ally McBeal for the defendant. One thing that was very unusual about the show was that the central title character was an oddball. We like our women protagonists very normal, and Ally just wasn't that. So it was groundbreaking in that way.
Richard's getting a new peeve and he wants the timesheets.
Okay, I'll do the timesheets.
And when you do,
Give it to me. The initial concept was so refreshingly new and different, not only to follow the plight of a single woman thrown into an office with her first love.
Hey, Billy, come on in here for a second. I want you to meet somebody.
But then you put David Kelly's crazy, inventive mind on top of it, and he layered it with the sense of humor.
Let me see your teeth.
When you do a television show, you only get the pilot, so it's a leap of faith. I remember reading it and thinking, I wasn't quite sure about it, but I remember the moment in the script that changed my mind. There were these two little kids, and they were sniffing each other's butts. And I went, wait, what? Like, that's weird. That's really weird, but I liked it. I think we've seen fantasy sequences before, but there was something great about these fantasies because they were so personal.
I'll always remember when she finds out that Billy is married, where the arrows go into her heart. And she was so wonderful the way she went like that.
We really wanted to access the inner world of this character. So by use of these flashbacks and fantasy sequences, we were in very exaggerated ways communicating what was going on inside her.
I was in David's office one day. He called me up to look at this thing that he had found on this thing called the internet, the dancing baby. Obviously, it was symbolic of Ally's biological ticking clock, but it became very famous, that baby.
Everyone who didn't know the show would go, oh, that's that show with the dancing baby, right? And so it definitely changed the course and the attention that came to the program.
It's not easy to meet women. Sure, I could walk into a bar and buy a lady a drink and under the pretext of perhaps a budding relationship, seduce her into satisfying my sexual needs. But that goes against my grain. So I thought it more honest to solicit a prostitute.
Well, I always gravitate toward eccentric characters, and one of the great blessings of Ally McBeal at the end of the day is we had so many great characters to write to.
I don't fit in, John. Cheers.
There was a great chemistry between all of the original players. I remember we would come on set and everyone was really acting as an ensemble.
It was really an amazing group of actors. They were all extraordinarily gifted. We had great chemistry. You know, we all responded to the material and embraced the material, and it was a special thing.
Move along, Richard.
Greg and Peter had a chemistry right from the beginning, that you could see a version of the odd couple in them.
Do we look like a team or not?
I think Renee was absolutely the closest person to Allie in terms of knowing what was really going on in Allie's head.
I'm telling you, going to work with Billy... Oh, no, this has nothing to do with Billy. You're kissing a guy you don't even like, according to what you He looks good.
There was always a feeling that Allie was a female-oriented show, but what the research showed was that it did, surprisingly enough, appeal to men.
I think I will date Nell.
I remember one time some guy came up to me and said, I don't watch your show, but my wife thinks you're really funny. And I said, but if you don't watch my show, how do you know it's me? You liar.
Sex with Ling tonight?
Oh, yeah. No biggie. Yeah, Bygone.
Richard had a lot of outrageous point of views. He was the one that said,
Personally, I hate sexual harassment laws. The original force behind them were disgruntled lesbians who felt they weren't given the same opportunity to get ahead.
only Greg German could pull it off.
Greg German. I had the privilege of working with him quite a bit.
Do my knee.
He has the most incredible comic timing ever.
So this had nothing to do with my ability as a lawyer.
What ability? I'm still looking for that. Kidding.
He also made waddle sexy on the program.
Chinese waddle. Helping people is never more rewarding than when it's in your own self-interest. Look there! You just got your first fishism!
There should be a little book, I suppose, of fishisms to live by. And I should be living by them, but, you know.
Look, now, I didn't ask for your input. I've already cleared this with Allie, who you'll remember is a partner. You'll also remember that you're not.
As outrageous as they might have behaved, they were always, to me, very accessible. And I think that was the key to the whole show.
Elaine was crazy smart, and she had these fabulous ideas, these inventions.
I've invented an automatic seat warmer. You know how awful it is to sit on an ice-cold toilet, especially in the morning. I always loved Elaine's inventions and that she invented things, period. I've invented a husband CD. That was something that certainly defined Elaine throughout the entire experience of the show. Wrinkles can just be a function of gravity. It's a miracle mask. Would you like me to demonstrate?
David was behind all of these inventions. And they seemed really kooky and they seemed really odd, but they actually made perfect sense. Everybody wants to work out and get in shape, but if you run, does your face fall? I mean, that sucks. So why not have a face bra?
That's when it sort of became a classic. You know, when the show ended, the only thing I took home as a memory of the show was the original face bra.
I would like to introduce to you all Nell Porter. As of today, she'll be joining us as a new attorney.
My favorite casting moment was actually about a year into the series where we decided that we wanted to add a new character. David was very keen on Portia de Rossi. And there was this other actress that came in that day by the name of Lucy Liu, who was also terrific. And David said, let's just cast them both.
Excellent. Please. Between my portables, my hair, the sexual harassment laws, I'll be partner in a month.
Portia de Rossi, she's so warm and lovely, and then she would be this striking ice queen on the show.
Do you really think being a judge is your niche? How hard can it be?
You lose. That one's boring. See if you can find somebody who cares. Ling Wu, she wasn't always the friendliest character in the bunch.
Shouldn't you be typing?
You know, a lot of people would come up to me and say, my God, she is so bitchy, you know? And I thought, really? I don't think of her that way at all. I think of her as very, very truthful.
Look, we're talking about 5 seconds here, okay? That's how long the big O lasts, 5 seconds, sometimes 6. This is so typical of men. What we want is affection, commitment, companionship, somebody to spend our days and nights with, somebody to make us happy in life. And instead you focus on 5 to 6 seconds of a few major muscle contractions. You're a pathetic species.
I know I've gotten a lot of credit in the past of writing women well. Well, I never thought I was doing that. I just wrote people. Some of them happened to be men, and some of them happened to be women. Some of them you weren't sure.
I'm really a man.
David's writing didn't obey any of the, conventional notions about who we are as men and women.
What's wrong?
Ling, you can't just do that.
The women spoke very frankly about their needs and their hopes and their wants, especially when it came to matters of the heart.
A date?
Yes.
With you?
Yes.
Yes.
I know this is a stupid question, but I'm gonna ask anyway.
I don't have a penis.
Excellent.
And guys spoke about it in more sort of absurd ways.
What were Ling's instructions specifically?
Stereotypically, men aren't sensitive, and we had very sensitive men.
Ling says it's bad to get nose to nose. Look at us, all this anxiety over a first kiss. In the bathroom like a couple of teenagers. Gay teenagers. My pants are down.
Everybody was sexual on the show. I kissed a lot of women, kissed a lot of men. I kissed everybody. I think that was unpredictable and surprising to see a woman lust after a man in the way that stereotypically a man lusts after a woman.
Well, where does it say that women can't act like men sometimes? I saw a piece of cute meat and I said to myself, you only live once, be a man.
But we were all lusting all over the place, all the time.
Certainly the atmosphere of Cajun Fish was a very sexually charged one. And I would say...
Look.
A lot of the cases that we took on were sexual harassment cases.
You sensed he was male, and you just decided to have sex with me?
Him? That man? Him. Okay, let me rephrase.
The law can be a pretty silly world, and nonsensical one at that, and Ally was the perfect show to probe that. So we, more often than not, would punctuate it with oddball plaintiffs, funny defendants.
We find in favor of the plaintiff and order the defendant to pay damages in the amount of $1.
$1?
Everybody had to have an ability to make you giggle.
It was in this sort of corporate button-down culture, but at the same time, it was full of these like anarchy thoughts.
The stupid fashion people make us wear these ridiculous things.
Here.
Ling definitely had a reputation for being very litigious, and the lawsuits that she would get involved in were fairly out there.
You want to sue God? Can I? Of course you can sue him.
The thing about the legal cases was that they were always reflective of the characters' personal lives. They were always connected some way.
For this man to say that he's addicted to love, addicted to sex, addicted to infidelity, lying, and cheating, for this man to come in here parading his penis like he should qualify for handicap parking? How dare you subject this woman to this embarrassment, you giant ass.
In a way, the show is a celebration of oddness and quirkiness and a celebration of us as different people. And in that regard, I think the Peter McNichol character was the oddest of men as played by Peter.
No, you're laughing. My best little friend is dead, and you're laughing.
Well, John Cage wasn't even part of the original plan. As soon as I brought him in for show one, he felt like he belonged there.
To have a man spank me, thwop, thwop,
Peter McNichol is comedy gold. Give that guy anything, and it's gonna be funny, whether it's a nose whistle or a storyline with a frog.
You have a pet frog?
He's a show frog. I won't stand to be disparaged.
John Cage was odd, and yet he had such a heart. And I think that Peter McNichol brought such a sweetness and such a sensitivity and such a vulnerability to John Cage.
You know, I've always considered you kind of a soulmate.
I always thought that Ally McBeal and John Cage would have made a perfect couple. I think Ally loved him deeply, and I loved Peter McNichol dearly, so maybe it was spilling over.
The idea of Barry White and John Cage just seemed perfect. This sort of eccentric, nerdy little man, who would he like to pretend he is? Barry White. I don't even remember how the dismount of the bathroom came into play, but he just struck me as a character who wouldn't even leave a bathroom stall in a normal way.
John, come down. John, when I'm ready.
John, get down now.
People don't come up with things like that. It's rare. A guy dismounting in the bathroom, that's the one thing I always say. I say, I miss David Kelly's imagination.
Richard, I'm in the bathroom.
Oh, well, unisex studies show it helps men and women employees breed familiarity.
When we first became aware that David wanted us to create a unisex bathroom, we were slightly taken aback by it.
We were like, really? What do you mean? We're all going to use the bathroom together?
And these characters kept going to the bathroom for privacy. And of course, they were never private.
It is not normal for people to marry when their hearts aren't really in it. Now, I am not saying that the woman should face criminal prosecution, but she shouldn't have gone through with the ceremony. Now, if you want to sympathize with her, fine, but if you identify with it, then I feel sorry for you, because there has to be passion. There has to be passion.
You need some work on your dismount.
There's just so much room to play in there. You know, there are things you can hang on and move through.
I always felt that there was something about that really paid homage to...
Richard. John, good to see you.
The great English funny shows, you know, whether it's Monty Python or some other classic from over there, where you would sort of create an environment that felt authentic, and then you would open a door into this just lunacy.
A lot of dancing took place in there, and I think that was, again, sort of the connection and the disconnect that David did with what we see as normal. He sort of created his own universe where things were the way they were, and he had the ability to find the elements that he needed to always make something.
I'm hurt.
That was incredibly funny, but at the same time very moving.
Billy, what's going on?
Remember how we said, whatever we become, we can't be anything but truthful with each other?
Yeah.
I never loved anybody like I loved and still love you.
Conflict is ultimately what makes great drama, and there was a lot of conflict right from the beginning.
Allie held a torch for Billy for a long time, and he did the worst thing that anybody could ever do. He went off and got married to some beautiful woman. It can get complicated, and it did. And it was so easy for me acting with Gil, and we had a nice rapport, and so I really, that was a special relationship, I thought.
Well, what are you doing here? It's almost midnight.
Just checking on you.
Oh. Oh, well, I'm fine.
This was a guy who was torn between two really smart, nice, neat women. And he just had this incredible connection that was full of history and passion with Allie.
The two of you should get together for a night and just get it out of your systems.
It was dangerous. I mean, they were playing in a dangerous, dangerous place.
This idea of first love resonated very strongly for me. And so it felt as if that was a key element in terms of how the character was going to evolve in the story.
If you could name one thing, it was the conflict that was going to continue through the life of the series on many different levels.
Up and down, down, up and down this road, walking the line.
There was a song which became the main title song of the show that was so amazingly pinned to this character. It's hard to believe that the script wasn't written to these lyrics.
I've been searching my soul tonight.
The theme song, Searching My Soul, really did depict a lot of Allie's thoughts and feelings.
Vonda Shepard was the single voice that we heard through most of the show. And I always sort of felt that Vonda's songs were the subtext to Ally McBeal.
So the music David had incorporated just enhanced the whole show. We did a lot of singing, we did a lot of dancing, and that was original, that was unique. I loved doing scenes in the bar because we were always together, and it's so much fun doing group scenes. And there's a sort of togetherness and a resolution of the episodes, and the conflicts were forgotten.
I think the bar in the script was called the Regatta Bar, but I don't think it was ever referred to in the show as anything. It was the place where the characters would unwind or celebrate or whatever was going on in their heads.
Because of the music, lots could happen there that was very theatrical and wouldn't really happen in life, you know, but raised the level of, the romantic level of the show exponentially.
There were so many cast members that had extra talents, you know, hidden talents. Jane Krakowski, of course, is a renowned Broadway star. Lisa Nicole Carson was like great soul mama, you know. We even got Callista up to sing.
The idea that, you know, at the end of the day, they all wound up in that bar meant that anybody could come out from behind the wings.
We had Barry White, Tina Turner, had Elton John.
Sting, Randy Newman, Barry Manilow.
Are you for real?
Are you?
Al Green was actually woven into the storylines, and I remember they asked me to sort of choreograph some steps for him and make up some stuff, and I was like, really? Because I don't really think I should be telling Al Green what to do. This doesn't seem right.
It was all these kind of offbeat things that I think kept people watching, and I think that's, again, a large part of the success of the show.
What are you doing? I'm practicing for a party.
There were so many aspects to Ally McBeal that modern-day working women have as well.
It wasn't supposed to be like this. You become a lawyer, you get interesting cases, you meet interesting men at the symphony. You're supposed to be able to send your whole life to the dry cleaners, and it's supposed to come back all pretty and neat on a hanger, and
And that struck a chord in people.
For its time, it was to television what Mary Tyler Moore was for its time in television. And I really think that was true.
It became such a, you know, part of the zeitgeist.
I just met this guy, somebody I'd never laid eyes on before. I met him at the car wash, one of those drive-through things.
It predated Sex and the City.
If you want to meet a man, you got to be open to it at places like bars where they feel dominant.
And it was something that was exciting to be a part of.
She said and did things that we all want to say and do, and that we don't do, but she did.
Well, I hadn't really prepared anything, so this would be off the cuff. You're a pig, and we're all sorry for that.
Everywhere you went, people would come up to you and say, you know, I love the show. It was pretty profound in the sense that you could tell it had really galvanized people's interests across the board.
I remember walking down the street and I would hear in the background somebody go, oh, that is so Ally McBeal.
I think sometimes people truly believed that she was this character. And it's kind of, you know, really the embodiment of how brilliant she was in the role.
Over the years, I've talked to different people who auditioned for that role. Really good actresses, fantastic actresses.
Laura was up for Ally, yeah. Laura was very good. But Laura is just, you know, look at me twice like that and I'll punch your lights out. That's not how Ally was written. The one thing I did walk away with, I said, well, Laura may not be Ally, but I got to figure out a way to bring her into the practice.
The thing with Callista is that she has this capacity to discover how she's feeling within the process of saying her dialogue.
And certainly if the woman was also attracted, maybe she even fell in love just by being near him.
It's almost as if she is truly living moment to moment in the experience of experiencing her character for you.
A little pat on the butt.
She's an amazing comedian. She's obviously a great dramatic actress too, but to be able to have both things like that, a kind of vulnerability. She was singular. I can't think of anybody else who could have done it.
When this kid said on the stand that, well, he said that some people are meant to be alone, it just shot to my center. And then she said that boys have this accessible side, that men, well, that before their shells get hard, they... Well, Tracy thinks it might have something to do with me not being over you, but that isn't it. See, the truth is, if I close my eyes and think of you, I can't even...
Glad to hear that.
She was a career woman, and yet she was preoccupied with finding a soulmate. And some people hated her for that.
Was she a bumbling young woman who needed a man to define her? Or was she a strong young attorney who went to Harvard and had a wonderful career?
Allie, I'm surprised at you. I thought you said you didn't need a man.
I don't.
Well, then, well, what's this about?
I want one.
I mean, the cover of Time magazine on an issue about feminism, which I always thought was very interesting. Was Ally McBeal a feminist?
You will not be allowed into the room again wearing a skirt that short. That's all.
You can't do that.
I was driving to work and people were analyzing the show on the radio. Is this the new face of feminism? You're like, it's a character, and you're just sort of like, this is crazy. How is this happening?
Did I do something wrong?
Something about all of those elements just caught lightning in a bottle with the press and the public.
Quirky, bold, creative, politically incorrect. That best describes Ally McBeal.
It was exciting to be a part of a show that made people think and to be provocative like that. But I also thought that comparing Ally McBeal to Susan B. Anthony was ludicrous.
Often I think what happens is our political leaders become, our entertainment fodder, and our entertainers become our political, social fodder, and it should be the other way around. So.
Can I stop you? No. Where does it say women aren't sexual objects? I mean, of course they are. And here's a flash. They like it. That's why they're out there getting their breasts done, their tummies tucked, their faces lifted, so we'll keep looking at them sexually. What you all need to do is go home today and say, honey, give me back my penis. I want my penis! I want my penis! Penis!
There are great sensitivities to everything that's put on television. But David didn't worry about that. He just wanted to tell a story the way he wanted to tell it. And we were politically incorrect a large part of the time.
And you are?
A guy's guy.
And you've been acting like?
A woman's guy, a wussified piece, a wet toast woman's guy.
There was a ridiculous amount of attention on their weight. So we had a show where Laura's character came over onto Ally, and they looked at each other and exchanged that little one-liner.
Maybe you could eat a cookie.
Maybe we could share it.
Well, that's David. He's just not going to let something go. If he wants to make a joke or he wants to make a comment, he's just going to do it through those characters.
Are all your closings that passionate?
Some a little more than others.
You take that marriage institution thing kind of seriously, I see.
Don't you?
I like marriage, but I only plan to do it once.
When Ally had a romantic relationship with an African-American actor played by Jesse Martin, we got a lot of flack for not addressing that.
We never had sort of a question of race in the show, and I think that's wonderful because I think a lot of people overthought it then and, made it such a big deal.
There were certain people who felt that there was something kind of dishonest about having an interracial relationship without commenting on it. And we thought that was very strange because we thought that that was pretty terrific, that we didn't have to comment.
Are you afraid of loving somebody again?
Oh, don't be ridiculous. Yeah.
On the landscape of television, you should be able to have one series where it just doesn't matter. Just doesn't matter. So it wasn't going to matter.
David liked to work in a world that he created on his own. He's changed, so many things in television just by his writing. So how do you end up categorizing it?
You shouldn't get to talk to me like that just because you're a senior pipsqueak.
Every time a script came out, there was definitely that anticipation to see what was going to come out of David Kelly. And because the show was so different at the time, even all of us didn't know what could possibly happen next.
You see that woman? I've loved her since I was 8 years old. And I will love her for all my days. All of my heart. Forever. I need to rest.
I remember writing that death scene. It was tough writing it. You're saying goodbye to a character that you love. You know, I write the scenes out longhand, then I take them down and I throw them on the typist's Barb's desk, and I'm probably a little salty because it's not a particularly fun moment. Barb comes back in, she's crying, having typed the scene. It's a weird thing.
About 40 minutes ago, Billy Thomas passed away.
I didn't want him to leave the show. I was very, very sad to see him go. I felt his departure.
You know, he constructed a beautiful episode to let the character die, and you know, kind of brought it all around to, you know, the heart and core of what and how everything started. He did me right in the way we said goodbye, so I thought that was really cool.
Billy was dead, and the question became, where do we go from here? She can't keep pining for the old boyfriend, and yet we've got to find someone new who can measure up to that love that we've gone to great lengths to establish as incomparable.
The thing that happened that was quite exceptional was that we were able to get Robert Downey Jr. as part of that fourth year.
You think I'm just going to sit back and wait for you to get with the program? You might be afraid of all this, Ellie, but I'm not.
They clicked right away. Chemistry was there, and it really revived the show.
I have been walking around obsessing over the idea that I have forgotten how to kiss. What do you make of that?
When I first met you, you struck me as a person who's maybe forgotten how to love.
David's words are always so elegant and meaningful and character-based, and they took it to a level that deepened the meaning.
I knew we didn't have Robert under contract for the 5th year, but I thought it would be very fitting if Allie got married at the end of year 4, and the 5th and final year would be seeing her in married life. That was the episode that I had in mind right from the beginning, but then Robert had some personal issues, could not do the season finale.
I can't handle the bias, okay? So just, you have to bear with me on this. Just know that I love you and I'll be back.
So we knew that, okay, we've got to come up with something new.
In real life, when you start something, you never know how it's going to end, although you have all these plans for how you think it's going to end.
Why are you crying? Because you were my daughter.
So you start this show about this woman that was going to, you know, be around this love of her life, and end it in a way that was really unexpected.
All right, up to bed we go.
Just like real life.
Her priorities changed, and she was able at the end of the show to put her daughter's needs ahead of her own.
Thanks, everybody, for coming. Sorry about the short notice, but it's important.
You're changing hair color.
No, it's not that important, but I am resigning. Effective immediately.
Ultimately, as the series finished, she decided to leave that wacky group. And they got everyone to come back and be in that last scene, which was quite special to see everybody again and have that final goodbye.
I remember that last scene quite well, with all of them waving goodbye and Gil's character just showing up, which I thought was exactly right.
I mean, for the finale, they all had to be there. And Billy had to have a place in the finale. Ghost was our only option at that point. We didn't bring people back to life. Had they been her 6th year, we might have tried it.
Maybe I need to say goodbye to you, too.
Don't ever forget.
And don't you.
David brilliantly understood that a character that's in your heart never leaves you, and so you'd want to see that manifestation.
It was a special connection. Like, sometimes people find it very early, sometimes people find it later in life, and for whatever reason, Allie and Billy found each other and stayed very connected.
Forever and ever.
I think I was in a little bit of denial even writing that finale, so I blocked some of it out. But I do remember her walking away at the end, which was the way that we ended the pilot. You know, her life would go on.
David somehow tapped into something very real for the audience that show just shot through the roof and became part of the culture in a way that I don't even think he expected.
It gave us a chance to do so many different things in one show.
Fish!
It was romantic and really funny. And it was a huge, kind of unexpected thrill that we went on to several years of good times.
There were so many days there where you just knew you were involved in something really special and different, once in a lifetime.
There was always a sort of magic that happens when we were all together. I look at it and I go, wow, we did something really different for what was on TV at that time.
Bygones.
Bygones.
Bygones? Bite my head off. I think about everyone now and I really miss them. The show really was sort of the jumping off point for me in my career.
Ling. Oh.
And David Kelly was really the center of that.
It was life-changing for me. I got to work with some amazing people, and I could just sort of play because it was a large playing field. There weren't really any rules about what you could do, as long as it was truthful.
Itinerary?
For our date. Hello.
Everybody had incredible performances on that show, but I don't think anybody did it more consistently and more excellently than Callista. For a show to work, it requires so many things to happen, but at its core, you need that person who is the lead of the show to have the skills to pull off what is asked of them, and she had that and then some.